Should we all be wearing color flags? Should we all be wearing gloves?
That's 20 seconds. We're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. We're back here now. That's
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next thing that we have is a moment of silence, but before we move into the moment of silence, there's just a couple of things that I would like to ask council and anyone else who's here to more or less take into consideration. I'm kind of winging this, so bear with me. Last week was a rough week for the city of Wauseon and council. We lost a council member, Jeff Stieritz, and not only was he a council member for the city, but he was our friend here at the city. Shane has been on for what, 16 years now? 17?
14.
14?
Yeah, 14.
Oh, okay.
Finishing up my fourth term. Yep.
Fourth term.
Yeah.
And Jeff would have had served 19 years come July 24th of this year. And I've been on for 19 years, so between the three of us, there's many things, and the rest of council that have shared for our community working with Jeff. And with that being said, he brought a lot to the city. He was a small business owner, so we had that to go by when he would bring things for small businesses. He also loved the WRA programs. He had many children and grandchildren and nieces and nephews that went through the WRA program, so he really put a lot of input on with that. I think he served 2 terms as president of council with the city, and with that comes added work for the city and a lot of meetings. And the one thing I can say about Jeff is that he knew a lot of people in the city of Wauseon, so when it came to needing to hear something, people of Wauseon felt comfortable going to Jeff to bring it back to council. And that was something that I think he really took pride in. And more or less, Jeff was one of those people that he had a great sense of humor. Sometimes we didn't know whether he was joking or not, and that was spoken at his funeral this last week. And that's the truth. Jeff had a motto: to agree to disagree, and then move on. And that's what he did. Agree to disagree and move on because he wanted to do business. So I guess I just wanted to say, well, he's going to be missed. He's going to be missed as a mentor, he's going to be missed as a counselor, and more importantly, he's going to be missed as a friend and a brother to Freddie.
I personally knew him 60 years.
Yeah, you knew him a little longer than we did,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
But together you guys worked well. You worked really well. So thank you for that. Shane, do you have anything you want to say?
Thanks, Mayor. I was thinking about Jeff, since his unfortunate passing, and what comes to mind is loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyalty, when I say loyalty to the city of Wauseon. He always put the citizens of Wauseon first in his decision making, what he felt was best for the citizens. I always felt Jeff had that as his number one priority when it comes to legislation. But then I remember back, it was maybe June 7th, our last council meeting, and before we got started, Mayor, I had mentioned to Jeff that, hey, we're looking like an executive session tonight. And those can sometimes run kind of long.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff mentioned to me, well, I have to be out at Biddle Park for a ball game tonight,
Yep.
so family comes first.
Yeah.
And that's what I always remember about Jeff as well. Jeff had a huge family, and his family members always came first to him. So
Yes, they did.
thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk. And our historian, Jeff, will be missed. Those are going to be big shoes to fill, and we'll fill those at the right time. But we
Absolutely.
can take our time doing that out of respect for Jeff and Jeff's family. So thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
And he stayed for that whole meeting, and he got up
He
and
did, yeah.
said, "I'll see you later." And
Yeah.
yes, we
Yeah,
will.
yeah, we will. Yeah,
So,
for sure.
okay, at this time, please keep Jeff's family in your thoughts and prayers as we have a moment of silence. Turn it down, Harold. We're going to start with roll call.
Counselor Scott Steer.
That's his joke.
It wasn't Jeff.
So I
wasn't
said,
Jeff,
that's
yeah.
jokes.
No,
That's
it's good.
Jeff's joke.
Counselor Stickley.
It was not Jeff.
Yes.
Counselor Schneider.
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain.
Yes.
Counselor Greggs.
Present.
We have 5 members present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Council has had time to look over the prior meetings minutes. Have a motion on that, please?
I'd make a motion to accept them as printed, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve the prior meeting minutes moved by Counselor Stickley and seconded by Counselor Greggs. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And we do have an individual coming to address council tonight. It is not Brooke, same initials. We have her husband Brent coming to talk to us. So come on up. You
Yes,
can
thank
actually
you.
go to the
Oh,
podium. It's kind of
sure.
off to the
Podium.
side.
You want to move it over? Move it over.
Okay, no mic, just speak loud.
There you
We're
go.
gonna get new sound system, I promise.
You like our decor?
Yes, all good, yes.
We're in the process for the last 20 years.
So anyway, thank you for your time and attention. I'm here to ask, I guess, that as new owners of Red Rambler, my wife and I have done a number of things over the last year to, add some new services and features to the building and to, for our customers. If you haven't been by in the last few months, back at the last week of April, we added on a patio in the front of the building. We kind of extended the front line of the Ace Hardware building and extended the sidewalk to make room for about a 650-foot patio on the front of the building. I did bring some pictures along. If you guys haven't seen it, they finished Freedom Fence out of Pettisville, finished putting the fence up last Thursday. And so now the final kind of step of the process and why we're here tonight is for ask for permission to allow us to alter our liquor license to allow outdoor dining on the patio and consumption. So, it's been a pretty good investment. We're really excited. We got a lot of comments and questions. I don't know if you guys have ever come to the shop on Saturday morning, but there's a number of cyclists that usually come out of Maumee and they cycle out, they stop, have a drink, and then ride back to Toledo. So we're really excited about the conversations that are going to take place out there and that space for our people. I did bring a diagram too, as you can kind of see. This is probably hard to see, but this would be the front of our building. We had to have archibald glass come out and reverse the hinge on our doors to swing the opposite direction. We put the fence in, added a new sidewalk around the exterior of the fence to still access Ace Hardware, put in new handicap ramps, which the ramp there had been in kind of disrepair for the last 6 or 7 years anyway. So we were able to fix that and then just attach to the building. So all in all, right now we've got seating out there for 16 plus a couple couches and some extra comfy chairs for people to hang out in. So it's a nice addition to the building, and I'm sure Jeff Roop, the owner of the building, is pretty happy about the way it all came together and turned out. So like I said, the reason for the visit is really to ask permission to to have our license altered so we can serve our beer out there as well.
Well, we really appreciate everything that you've done out there. I mean, Red Rambler, gotta love that coffee too. But it looks great. The pictures look great. So
Thank you.
I've seen those bicyclists and they're on their shoes when they come in. So it's really neat. It's
Yeah, it's fun. It's a good environment, and that's
Right.
what we, one reason tangent, but, people always come and ask us, since we've changed, what other changes we're gonna make and what we wanna do, and one thing that comes up over and over again is, are we gonna put TVs in? And the answer is no, we're not going to ever probably put TVs in, but, the reason behind that is really we view it as a gathering place. People come, they just sit, not watch TV and be totally distracted, but just have a conversation and hang out for a while.
And that's great.
So that's kind of the reasoning behind the patio, and just one more place to kind of hang out and get people.
One question.
Visit.
On the fence, is there a legal height that has to be or not?
We were told no. That is 36 inches.
Yeah.
According to the Division of Liquor Control, they said they don't care if it's actually a fixed fence or not. It could be a rope. It was really more about the aesthetic. If you're sitting there, we had options between that and a 42-inch. But if you're sitting down, it's hard to see over a 42-inch fence. So that was the reason.
36.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was in, and that's what only question was.
Yeah.
Is there a fence height mandated?
No, not by Division of Liquor. And as far as we could tell when we checked with zoning, that there wasn't, as far as any permit requirement. The only issue we had was making sure we had the proper width on the sidewalk around the exterior for handicap accessibility.
Sure.
I appreciate the fence as well, just because there is traffic and as a safety issue, it's nice to have that barrier between.
Yeah.
It looks great, and this is just where council is very much aware. We've had a couple of these come through, that as long, as we agree to this, then it'll move forward. So that's in the ordinance throughout the new business, I think. It's under. So-
Yes, it's good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the pictures, we're visual learners.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that's the end of that discussion. We're going to move on to our committee reports, and we have a finance committee report.
Finance Committee met Wednesday, June 9th at noon. Myself, Shane, and Jeff were present, along with Jamie and Trudy. And just a couple real quick issues. One, Jamie wanted to refinance the bond for the Glenwood Street project and the Napoleon water line. By doing that refinancing, we would save $140,000 over the next 10 years. And so I made a motion, and Councilor Jeff Stewart seconded to recommend that we refinance the bond, and it passed with 3 yeas, no nays. Wasn't hard to pass when you're going to save $140,000. And then the other matter was to amend the budget. We had to allow Jamie to move some money around to cover the $29,500 for the streetlights by Haas Door, and also to make some adjustments for the zoning department to pay for the zoning and maintenance code inspector. That was in the amount of $6,000. Councilor Chamberlain made the motion. I seconded to do that amending to the budget, and that passed 3 yeas and no nays. And then, being nothing further, we adjourned at 12:15. But I want to add, we had a discussion of water bottles with Jeff. That's one thing I want you to remember about him. About different kinds of water, whether you like Aquafina or this, and he said, I can't tell the difference. He says, my wife can, I can't. I said, I can't either. And he was sitting right over there, and he started laughing. He says, the only thing I hate is the cheap water bottles that when you squeeze them and you open, the water shoots out the top. He said, I try and hold it at the bottom so it doesn't squirt out the top. Every water bottle I've opened since then, I think of Jeff. I think of Jeff.
That's awesome.
Yep,
I remember him saying that.
yep.
I want to add that our council got in their packet and in front of them. In order for us to move the bonds, we wanted, the bondsman made sure that the fiscal officer's certificate as to why we're doing this, what it is for, that each of you, council, were able to see this before we act. And that's why it went out in your packet, and then another one in front, just in case it wasn't read. So,
You want to vote on this all in one pair, or you want to divide it?
Well,
into three, or what do you want to do?
I guess it really doesn't matter. We had 3 yeas and 3 yeas from both of them. So unless there's discussion against any of them, I say we just
We can do
go
it.
ahead the finance committee
If that's the case,
as a
I
whole.
would make a motion to accept the finance committee's recommendation.
For both parts.
Both or
Both
all
parts.
three or whatever it is.
Yeah. I'd second the motion to accept both recommendations from the finance committee.
Motion to accept both recommendations from the Finance Committee moved by Counselor Stickley and seconded by Council President Chamberlain. Is there any discussion? Counselor Scott Steers?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Good job, Brooke.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the tree commission report.
All right, so we met June 9th at 8 o'clock. Larry Fry, Dan Nelson, Pete Carr, Laura Camp, and myself were present. There was no action that needed to be taken, but we kind of had some discussion. April 30th, we had the Arbor Day celebration at both schools. Well, actually, it's 3 groups of schools. So primary school, the Elm Street, the middle school, which was actually 2 groups of kids that came out. So we were at 2 different schools. We planted a red oak at the primary and an elm tree at the middle school. And in between those 2 presentations, our group went out to Homecoming Park and planted 20 trees to replace some trees that had died over the last year. And John Alexander and Larry Fry from the city had brought mulch out to help with the planting of the trees. And so that was a very successful day. We had, I don't even know how many kids were there, but then all the first graders also got a spruce tree to take home with them at the end of the day. And then also discussed was there's a branch that they found over the Imagination Kingdom that they were going to go take a look at, and I'm not sure what the action on that will be, but if it needs to be taken down, they will take it down so that no damage happens to, you know, Imagination Kingdom or any children playing in the park. Then a group of people also planted some more wildflower seeds at Indian Hills and installed 2 new signs. One sign was provided from the Soil and Water Conservation Grant, and the other sign was actually made from a person in their office. So that was kind of nice. And that was actually it. It was just a quick meeting. We adjourned at 8:20, and I think we're going to have another meeting again, but we're waiting on Rick Fry to provide an agenda. That's it. No action.
I don't know if Kevin knows, but he has to give a report about Indian Hills in place of town.
The trail, anything to add?
That report is not complete.
All right.
Oh, poor Tom. Okay, thank you. So no action on our tree commission report. Jamie was going to be here and had to bolt because her daughter is coming home from her time served. I'm thinking, what was she in, the National Guard? I think, not National Guard, I can't even think of what it was. She's been gone a long time, and today was the day to go get her. She was stationed in Texas. So she couldn't be here, but I think we got through everything with the bond, and that was her most important, and the refinance of money, or transfers of money. So we are going to move on to our first reading of legislation. Resolution 2021-9 is a resolution accepting the recommendations of the Revolving Loan Fund Committee, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Pam Seiler.
I would make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion to put resolution 2021-9 on first reading and the first reading be passed, moved by Counselor Stickley and seconded by Counselor Schneider. Is there any discussion? Counselor Scott Steers?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you. Next resolution is 2021-10, which is a resolution to amend ordinance 2020-11, the annual appropriation ordinance, by authorizing the Director of Finance to increase or decrease certain line count appropriations within the various funds listed within the year of 2021.
First reading of resolution 2021-10.
Second.
Motion to place resolution 2021-10 on final reading, moved by Council President Chamberlain and seconded by Councilor Scott Steers. Is there any discussion? Councilor Scott Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Greggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay, ordinance 2021-5 is an ordinance for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $1,780,000 for the purpose of paying costs of refunding at a lower interest cost certain of the city's outstanding street improvement bonds, Series 2011, dated May 26, 2011, and we need to declare this an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to place ordinance 2021-5 on emergency reading, moved by Councilor Schneider and seconded by Councilor Stickley. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, you really don't have to say Scott anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just teasing you.
Hey, she's in a bowl.
I know, I'm
Habits.
just teasing you.
Councilor Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Greggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
It is nice to hear my name now, but go ahead.
Final reading.
I'll second it.
Motion to place ordinance 2021-5 on final reading, moved by Councilor Stickley and seconded by Councilor Greggs. Is there any discussion? Councilor Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Greggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay, ordinance 2021-6 is an ordinance providing for the issuance and sale of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $225,000 for the purpose of improving the city water, municipal water treatment plant by constructing an additional treatment building and lagoon, acquiring additional treatment tanks, a high service pump, and additional piping, and making other necessary improvements together with all equipment and what is that word?
Apparatuses.
Is that apparatuses?
Appurtenances.
Appurtenances, yeah.
Oh,
Okay, I would have said apparatuses too. There too, and declared an emergency. Wow.
That's a good one, yeah.
I've said that one before, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Would you repeat that?
I would ask you,
Appurtenances.
what does that mean? You're a high school, college.
Well, let's move, let's make the motion
I'll make
and
the
get the
motion.
row up first. We'll do that.
I'll make the motion.
I'm a numbers guy.
I'll second it.
motion to place ordinance 2021-6 on emergency reading, moved by Councilor Stickley and seconded by Councilor Griggs. Is there any discussion? Councilor Steers?
Yeah, I think it's right below the liver.
Is it?
She asked you a question.
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
We need a final on this.
Final.
Second.
Motion to place ordinance 2021-6 on final reading, moved by Councilor Schneider and seconded by Councilor Stickley. Is there any discussion? Councilor Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay, well, we have nothing on second reading and or third reading, because I don't know if we get through it or not.
No.
But we do have under new business, we need a motion to authorize the mayor to send a letter to the Ohio Department of Commerce Division of Liquor Control indicating that the city does not object to the sale of liquor on an outdoor expanded patio at the Red Rambler located on 1493 North Shoup Avenue.
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Councilor Stickley moved and seconded by Councilor Steers. Is there any discussion? Councilor Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
No opposition. Thank you. Anything else on the new business?
I would just like to mention Brooke has some family members with us today. You know, our new clerk. It was very nice that she brought along some of her family members. So,
Mom and Grandpa and Grandpa.
yeah, they made
Virginia.
quite a trip.
Yeah,
Quite a trip.
Virginia.
Yeah.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to mention that the gentleman there is a retired Air Force Colonel.
Wow.
Flew F-4s
Wow.
and A-10s and other aircraft, and thank you for your service.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
your
you. Thank you.
service, that's great.
Speaking
Share
aircraft talk
that.
tonight, aren't you?
That's why I'm back
I know,
talking.
right, yeah, right in your wheelhouse.
All right.
Yeah, buddy.
I have, the only other thing, I have one thing, Mayor, just, it's, I don't know how you get it out there, but there's a lot of people out bicycling.
Mhm.
They don't abide by the stop signs.
Mhm.
Somebody's gonna get it one of these days. I mean, they, out there by Sarah's Garden especially, they just zip through, because they think peripheral vision, they can see everything, you know, and I
know.
understand the stopping and starting, but I'd hate to have a rescue
Yeah.
call because somebody got nailed.
I know in the spring, when they start getting out there, early summer, they, the PD always puts out about vehicle drivers watching out for bicycles, but it's very difficult when the bicycle, and I get what you're
Yeah,
saying. So
yeah.
maybe we can ask them to put something out, just on our Facebook page or something, just, you know, for bicycles
Yeah.
to, you know, make sure
I
that
think
they
it's good
follow
they're riding, I just don't want to see
the
anything
rules.
happen.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see, we could use a motion to pay the bills, please.
I'd make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
Motion to approve and pay the bills as presented was moved by Council President Chamberlain and seconded by Councilor Schneider. Any discussion? Councilor Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay, then I'm asking for a motion to enter into an executive session for the purchase and sale of property.
I would make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion to enter into executive session moved by Councilor Stickley and seconded by Councilor Griggs. Is there any discussion? Councilor Steers?
Yes.
Councilor Stickley?
Yes.
Councilor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Chamberlain?
Yes.
Councilor Griggs?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you.